Okay, this is going to be the third part of the fish drawing. So you can see I added some scales in here, and I went over the bottom and the top part with the pencil to give these a little bit more of a shadow. And the reason that I did that, and although I drew them all in, I'm going to take my eraser, and on this middle section I'm just going to erase sort of a line out of here, so you can see it almost makes it look like the fish has a little bit of a shine to it, which is kind of a nice detail. So I'm going to go back in and start adding some of the shadows in the body. And if I look at the reference photo, which I'm going to loosely base this off of, there's some shadows around this gill, there's some shadows up here around the eye and in the head. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of those. And again, when I shade these in, sometimes I like to leave a little white line between the outside of the drawing and whatever I'm shading. That's just the sort of thing that I do. You don't have to do it that way. And again, to me, this is the fun part, because you get to add the details and you get to sort of take your time and experiment with what you think works and what you think looks good. And if you don't like it, you can always erase it. I'm really just make this up as I go. And again, I like using the smudge stick just by itself to add shadows because it's a little more subtle, and I like the effect that it has. So you can see even right just in that section what a difference that makes already. Or you can color in your shadows and then blend them later. And I would recommend trying to make those as smooth as you can with the pencil, because it will make it easier with the smudge stick. So in other words, if you're pushing really hard and making these very distinct lines with the pencil, it's going to be harder to smudge them in an even fashion. Now, even though this fish in my reference photo has a white belly, I'm going to make mine a little bit darker. We'll see how that looks. And you can sort of individually shade some of these scales. So you can see just with that little bit of effort, that already sort of is starting to look more interesting. So let's add some details to these fins. And again, I know a lot of times when I'm working on these drawings, I end up sort of smudging over some lines and having to redraw them. But that's okay. It's just part of, working on it. And again, there's not a right answer. If you want to, just experiment with it and see what you like. If you don't like it, you can erase it and start over. I try to really not ever give up on a drawing no matter how badly it's going. Just because you can always learn something. And you can always sort of try something that you maybe wouldn't have tried before. Okay, so that's starting to look a lot better. So I'm just going to keep working on these shadows and going over the lines again and sort of reworking it until I'm happy with where I'm at. And then I'm going to switch to the watercolor, which we'll do in the next video.